Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Scott, who you may know from the Geekbox and Comedy Button podcasts. I'm also Oggroth on World of Warcraft's Hydral US realm, and today I'm here to take you on a grand tour of my all-time favorite WoW raid instance, the Tower of Karazhan. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and now between the upcoming release of the Hearthstone One Night in Karazhan expansion, the WoW Legion Invasion event, and the recent Warcraft movie, Karazhan has been in the spotlight an awful lot lately. So I figured now would be the perfect time to show you around the place, in case you're curious and want to learn more, or you're an old veteran who might enjoy a trip down memory lane. Located in the Eastern Kingdom's Deadwind Pass, Karazhan opened in January 2007 with the launch of World of Warcraft: The Burning Crusade, the game's first expansion. It was the introductory raid for level 70 players, and it was also the game's first 10-player instance. The older in-game raids, like Molten Core, Blackwing Lair, and Naxxramas, were designed for groups of 40, with a few of the odd raids built for 20, like Ruins of Anchorage and Zul'Gurub. But that tended to be a bit unwieldy, and so with Karazhan, Blizzard decided to shake up the status quo and target smaller and easier to assemble groups. And this paved the way for the modern WoW raid setup that we know today. Love it or hate it. Anecdotally, in discussions about favorite WoW raid experiences, Karazhan tends to run neck and neck with Wrath of the Lich King's Ulduar as the all-time greatest raid. And as those who have been here will tell you, it's not hard to understand why. Karazhan is a huge, immaculately well-plotted raid. Its haunted castle theme exudes a very Disney Haunted Mansion style vibe, and a whole lot of its 11 boss encounters are very memorable. Some of the most memorable bosses in all of WoW are in this instance. So I am going to show you what's in here and why it is so cool. And before we go into the raid proper, I want to just kind of point out a few interesting features around the Karazhan grounds here. First off, we're going to go down here, and these guys over here, these NPCs, are members of the Violet Eye, which is the branch of Dalaran's Curator mage faction that were sent to spy on Karazhan and its former resident, the Archmage Medivh, who was possessed by the Titan Sargeras, Lord of the Burning Legion, and World of Warcraft's ultimate big bad. After Medivh died, weird things started happening in and around this place, and nobody's really quite sure why, but the Violet Eye is here to investigate and sort of make sure the strange and mysterious forces of Karazhan don't pose a threat to, I suppose, the rest of the world. And this is actually an in-game faction that you can gain reputation with, you know, killing mobs and bosses inside the raid. So I am long since exalted with them. But you do get, for progressing with this faction, a cool, upgradable Violet Signet Ring, which at the time, when Burning Crusade was current, was a pretty nice item. And it's one of my many keepsakes here. So, let's take a look around here. We have the Meeting Stone, from back when those were useful. And we have this little village around the place, which has a few undead residents. And down some of these stairs are the Master's Cellar, which is just a short series of catacombs that sort of relate to the very long attunement chain that players used to have to do to get the key to Karazhan, back when that was a thing. You had to go through a bunch of dungeons and just do a bunch of quests, fetch quests and whatnot, that eventually wound you up in the opening the dark portal in the Caverns of Time, where you actually received the key from Medivh, and you'd be able to unlock the instance door and go in. But you don't need to do that anymore. You can just walk right on in. And there are a few kind of interesting things around here. Up here, there's this building that leads up and up to a side entrance here, which once you unlock it midway through the raid, it saves you some time during wipes. You can just go in here instead of through the front door. Down here, a lot of players probably don't know this is here, but this is the entrance to the Karazhan Catacombs, which is the location of a bunch of the World of Warcraft Legion class artifact quests. So, depending on what you play, I think Unholy Death Knights and one of the Warlock and Druid quests, I believe, are going to have quests in there, and that's a new area that's just opened specifically for that. So there's that, and also there's somewhere around here, fun fact, I'm not going to show you how to do it here, but there is, I wish I could remember where exactly it is, but there's a spot here in one of the kind of rock areas where you can actually glitch below, like underneath Karazhan, and there's like a little Easter egg there. There's a smiley face drawn on the ground. It's a neat little developer joke. Maybe I'll link to that in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. And then over here, in the back, there's this church that's more another area that's related to the old Attumen quest. But there's also, show you this. This is much more interesting. The Forgotten Crypt, one of WoW's longest-standing kind of, I don't know, legends, I suppose. And this gate, which I believe, I have not tried, but I think you can still get past it if you die and resurrect on the other side of it. And that wall back there, if you get past that, it leads into a whole unused sort of, people refer to it as Lower Karazhan area. It's just a bunch of real creepy stuff, a room full of corpses and upside down hanged people and a bunch of stuff that was clearly an abandoned dungeon concept that never got used. But hopefully we will get to see that at some point. That would be pretty neat. The rumors of a Lower Karazhan have persisted in both the lore and in the game for quite a long time. Then over here you can see kind of here's the tower. That's where we have to climb up and up and up and up to the top, where the final boss is. And up here, there is an unused flight point and an instance gate that you can't get in there. But it's thought that this was going to be an area where groups could just travel straight here and go. This area, looking inside here, it looks like it would link up to where, very near to where you fight the final boss. So, but that is just an unused gate. So that is the area around Karazhan, and it's like I said, it's in Headwind Pass right there. Pretty much the only interesting thing in the area. And now, well, we'll go inside. Check out the instance itself. Like I said, it's got this cool little kind of haunted house theme. It's got some great music. It's got a very distinctive theme song that they play a bunch of different versions of. It kind of gets a bit more dark and intense as you make your way through the raid. So you talk to this guy, this Berthold, the doorman. He says, "Greetings, travelers. I've been instructed to treat any bearer of a key to Karazhan as an honored guest of the Master. Feel free to ask any questions you wish of me. How may I assist you?" You ask him, "What is this place?" "This is the Tower of Karazhan and residence of our Master Medivh. As a humble doorman, there is little else I can explain to you." Alright, well, where is Medivh? All inquiries regarding Medivh should be directed to Moroes, the tower steward. I myself know very little about the Master's business. I believe several nobles are currently having an audience with Moroes in the banquet hall. If you wish to inquire further... How do you navigate the tower? From here in the gatehouse, you may travel in one of 3 directions. The stairs behind me lead to the grand ballroom, where guests are currently being entertained. I'm sure you can smell the nearby stables, and the entrance to servants' quarters lies next to the gatehouse door. So, one of the kind of running themes here is that the residents of Karazhan, a lot of them don't seem to be aware that they're dead. There's like a big party going on here, and it's just kind of a weird, like, nobody's sure what's going on, like what happened to this place. So over here, we're gonna go into the stables and go fight the boss here. I'm gonna clear out the trash because he summons all of it to him when you aggro him. If you don't kill all the trash, then it can be a little annoying because they can stun you. There's this stable with all these ghostly horses and stable whatnot. And then we have our first... Yeah, let me get some of this loot, this sweet loot. Clear all of it away. This is the first boss. This is Midnight. And Midnight, he's Khan's neutral here, so he's not going to attack us right now. But he is the vampiric seed of Attumen the Huntsman, who is the first optional boss of Karazhan. And this is sort of a very early kind of gear check to... Yeah, groups would have to go through to see, like, well, can we handle this place? And if you couldn't beat him, the answer was definitively no, because the boss after this guy would really wreck you. And so what happens here is we aggro Midnight, and he, when you get him down to about, I think, 95% health, his rider, Attumen the Huntsman, will spawn and join him in the fight. And they fight you, and the objective there is to, once they're both spawned, is to get one of them down to 25%, in which case Attumen mounts Midnight, and they become one unit with a full health bar. Or I guess the higher of whichever individual mob had the highest health. And the other hit 25%. And then you have to burn him down. And the big danger with this fight at the time was that Attumen had an AoE cleave that would hit all melee, so people, the tank would usually just kind of tank him away from the raid, and everybody else would surround him back here. And you would just burn him down. And he also would randomly charge at players and knock them down. And he had a dispellable curse that would... I can't remember if he just hit melee or he hit everybody with it, but it would give you like a 50% miss chance. It was, pretty sad to like dispel it. So, yeah, let's just fight him.
Let's just against a more formidable opponent.
Oh, well, shame you didn't hear his voice lines more clearly. So there he is, there's Attumen. He's alright. He's never that hard. Alright, kill him there.
Always knew. Someday I will become the hunted.
Now, the big thing that he drops is the Fiery Warhorse's Reins, which is a 1% rare drop mount. The mount is Midnight, so you get Midnight as a mount. In the 8 years I've been running this raid, I have never seen that item drop, ever. So, every week I stand here just like this and I ask, is this it? Is this the week? Is this the week that I get it? And oh my god! I got it! Documented right here for YouTube! I have finally gotten the mount. that I have sought all this time. Wow. That's awesome. Look at that. I'm amazed that of all the times I would run Karazhan, this time, when I'm recording it for you guys, this is when the mount drops. Sweet. That's just made my day. Alright, well, let me, not to get too caught up in that. Oh, that is awesome. Alright, well, we've beaten Attumen and won our most celebrated victory ever in this place. And now let's go up here to the this area above here. I forget which it's over here. I'll just show you all this. Here's some beds for all these undead dudes to sleep in. And over here, this room's empty. But at one point, prior to Wrath of the Lich King, during the pre-patch launch event, there was a very special boss that was added to this room for about 2 weeks, named Prince Tenris Mirkblood, who was an undead high elf, I believe, or blood elf maybe, and he dropped a pet, a mini pet, the vampiric batling mini pet, and also the Arcanite Ripper, which was a two-handed axe that had an on-use effect where you would like rip on it like a guitar. And he was there just 2 weeks here in this room, and he has never been seen since. So that was cool. That was cool when he was here. And I do have the vampiric batling. Let's see. Let's go. Let's look at it. I'll bring him out. I'll bring him out for you. Over here. There we go. That mini pet. Can't get that guy anymore. Alright, so let's move on here. So, out here, now, over here, that leads out to the Grand Ballroom, that door, from this kitchen. We will go explore that in a few minutes here, but I want to show you one other area before we do that. Now, look! And that's the door back out to the entrance. This is the servants' quarters. So I just lost my track. You'll catch up though. This is the servants' quarters, and I am going to clear out some of the trash here to show you this, which is there is nobody ever did this. I don't think ever once in the time when I ran this raid, like, for real. No one ever did this section. We always skipped it. And it's just a big mess of animals in here. Which, some bats and hellhounds and spiders, and that's all it is. I'm just going to round these guys up and kill them. And this place, this area, when you've killed enough of these things, I'll show you, it spawns a random animal. I mean, I don't even want to call it a boss, because they're these random elite mobs that, they don't even lock you to the instance. I mean, they're not really bosses, so everybody usually just skips them. Because they don't drop anything. They just drop some random trash. Offset gear. I will go over here, round all these guys. There is Rokad the Ravager, which is a Hellhound boss. Cool stuff. And kill him. and you just get some random. It's even like a random suffix that it gives you here. So nothing special, nothing really worth doing except just to see it once. Then we'll go back out here. This leads right back out to the gatehouse where we came in. So, now that we're done with that, I'll show you Grand Ballroom. And this place, I should mention, I mean, Karazhan is vast. There is a lot to it. And back before there was an in-game map system, it was very easy to get lost. So, let's see, here we are in the banquet hall. All these guys have a good time. Oh, telling some funny jokes there. And that door back there, that's the door I was on the other side of earlier in the kitchen. So, this is where it links up. And here, we have the game's second boss and first mandatory boss, Moroes, who is the tower steward of Karazhan, Medivh's right-hand man, for all intents and purposes. And you may, if you saw the Warcraft movie, you know he was in there. He was Medivh's assistant in Karazhan, and here he is in the game. And you can see he's got these guests here. These guys are all nobles from the village of Darkshire, and they are here for an audience with Medivh. And if you sit here and kind of watch their dialogue, they talk to him and are being very insistent, trying to figure out where Medivh is, and Moroes is kind of just stalling them. So, again, nobody seems to really understand that they are dead. So Moroes, what happens with him, this is a very complicated fight. Now he spawns with these four guys. There are 6 possible guests that he can spawn with, and he'll spawn with 4 out of the 6, and they each do something annoying during the fight. And the fight is really about just kind of controlling all the chaos that goes on. And ordinarily, you know, I mean, back when this was current, you would clear the whole room, of course, before you engaged, because you would fight him out here. And so, I'll tell you about these dinner guests. So there's Kira, who is a holy paladin, and she will heal other dinner guests and use her cleanses on them, which removes crowd control. So she's super annoying. There is Dorothea, who has a mana burn spell that will target a caster and eat up all their mana, which, if have to hit a healer, it'll probably wipe the raid. There is Robin, who is an arms warrior who uses Mortal Strike and will, I believe he could one-shot most non-plate wearers, and he was one that you had to either kite or keep trapped for the whole fight because he was bad news and just took forever to kill. And there's Rafe, who he will stun his target, tank, and then go after other people with Hammer of Justice, and that would usually kill someone. That's also bad. And then the other 2, there's Catriona, who is a holy priest who will heal her friends here and use Dispel Magic to remove buffs that you cast, that other players have on them. And finally, there's Crispin, who is a protection warrior that he uses Disarm, but other than that, he's not really much of a threat. So, what you would do during this fight is you would mark each of these mobs with you know, a raid marker, and you know, you'd have a hunter trap one, a priest or warlock shackle others, and you know, you'd have a tank pick up anybody you wanted to kill immediately, and just establish a kill order and get them down. And meanwhile, there's also Moroes himself, who caused all kinds of problems. And this is a fight that required 2 tanks, because what he would do is periodically gouge the main tank, which would stun them, and then he would turn to whoever, he would just make his way down his threat list. So he had to have a second tank off-tanking him for when the main tank is disabled. And on top of that, he would use a move called Blind, which I believe was a poison effect. And he would use that on a random non-tank target in melee, and also stun them. And it could be cleansed, and it had to be cleansed, because if he blinded one tank and then gouged the other, he would just run rampant on the rest of the raid and wipe everybody really fast. On top of it, he also has sort of a soft ticking clock mechanic, which is called Garrote. And every 30 seconds, Moroes will vanish and place Garrote on a random player, which is at the time, it did a very big damage dot spell that would just tick over the course of like 5 minutes. And the only things that could remove it were a Mage Ice Block, Paladin Bubble, I think Dwarf Stone Form. There were only a couple ways to get rid of it other than dying. And so every 30 seconds, he's hitting somebody with that. So eventually, the fight just becomes, you know, you have to kill him before the amount of damage overwhelms the healers. Now, of course, I mean...
Unannounced visitors.
Now,
Preparations must be made.
So, you know, he'll just keep on you with his daggers, attack you, and then I'll show you that he vanishes eventually. And places Garrote on you, which these days I suppose is not very much of a threat.
Where was I?
Come on. And there it is, Garrote. So deal damage every 3 seconds until you kill him. And this was a chaotic fight. A lot of groups, especially new raiding groups, hit a real hard wall with this guy. And he drops, among other things, newly, as of the Legion pre-patch, he drops the Transmog Illusion for the Mongoose weapon enchants, which he also used to drop the regular enchant too, but you can kill him to get that illusion for your melee weapons. So there's that, and if you kill him... Uh-oh. I've aggroed all the mobs. That's okay. After him, we go out here. Murder all these stupid NPCs. Alright, cool. Get some sweet loot. Then we go over here to the guest chambers. That's where we're headed. And over here, this is technically another optional area. You don't really have to do it, but it's good too. So the guest chambers, back there, that leads back down into the servants' quarters. But over here, we have what is, for all intents and purposes, Medivh's harem, which we have all these mobs, you know, Night Mistress, Wanton Hostess, Concubine. So Medivh had a whole harem in here, right? Which, you know, what was this guy up to, man? So all these rooms, they're all pretty much the same. And then back here is the Instance's third boss, also optional, the Maiden of Virtue, which is a bit ironic considering where we are. And the Maiden of Virtue was a tricky fight because you had to spread out quite far because of a bunch of bad things that she did. So anybody in melee radius of her would get some light AoE damage, and also every few seconds she would cast a 1-second silence, which means that casters and healers couldn't be near her. You had to kind of stay away from her. And she also had a spell called Repentance, which was a raid-wide stun. She stunned you for like 12 or 13 seconds. Everybody except the main tank. And this was broken by damage. So a tank would have to like walk her over to a stunned healer so that her AoE field hit the healer and, you know, release him from Repentance. Or, you know, you always keep one of the healers in melee range and kind of rotate throughout the fight or something like that, something to keep the healers from getting stunned. And she also had a move called Holy Wrath, which did a chained AoE damage to anybody who was standing too close to the target. So what you would do is everybody would spread out between the pillars here. And everybody would take a pillar, and to make sure they were out of range of the Holy Wrath. And so that it was a tricky fight. If she stunned everybody and then got some of her damage spells off before a healer could break the stun, then she could wipe the raid very quickly. And she also has a standard kind of 10-minute berserk.
Your behavior will not be tolerated. Death comes. Will your conscience be clear?
Yeah. Oh, and, you know, speaking of berserks, one of the things I forgot to mention, you know, like, clearly, you know, a lot of bosses have the berserk mechanic where after a certain amount of time they'll just wipe the raid because the fight's taking too long. You know, it's an incentive for you to bring some good DPS. One of the little known facts about Moroes, who we already killed, is that he does have a berserk timer, which after about 12 minutes, he will emote. Moroes pulls a throwing knife from his boot, and then he'll throw it at somebody and just one-shot a random character. And under normal circumstances, when this raid was current, I don't know how you would have ever gotten to that timer because his damage would have overwhelmed everybody. But he will enrage, or berserk, whatever you want to call it, after a certain time. And then here we have the Opera Hall, which is one of the most infamous areas in all of Karazhan. And these skeletal ushers who they were very dangerous. They used to one-shot healers a lot. It's one of those trash mobs you had to take real seriously. So we go here, down underneath the opera stage. And this encounter, this is a very special encounter because every week you got a random boss, one of 3 random bosses, each based on a famous story or fairy tale. And you never knew until you talked to the stage manager, Barnes, what you were going to get. And also, he would not open this door unless Moroes was dead, so you had to kill Moroes to proceed here. So he says, finally, everything is in place. Are you ready for your big stage debut? I'm not an actor. Don't worry, he says, you'll be fine. You look like a natural. Okay, I'll give it a try then. Splendid. I'm going to get the audience ready. Break away. And so he comes out and he announces what the play opens. And then inevitably at the time you should be like, okay, it's Little Red Riding Hood, we gotta do, you do this,
Welcome,
and you
ladies
frantically
and
figure it
gentlemen,
out.
to this evening's presentation. Tonight, we plumb the depths of the human soul as we join a lost, lonely girl, trying desperately, with the help of her loyal companions, to find her way home.
Looks like we got the Wizard of Oz.
But she is pursued by a wicked, malevolent crone. Will she survive? Will she prevail? Only time will tell. And now, on with the show!
Alright, so we've got the Wizard of Oz, which is basically kill each mob really fast before the next one activates. And then the witch will spawn, and we have to kill her too.
Oh, Tito, we simply must find a way home. The old wizard could be our only hope. Strawman, Roar, Tinhead, will you? Wait. Oh, golly, look. We have visitors.
Not for you. Want to fight? Huh, do you? Come on, I'll fight you with both paws behind my back. You didn't have to go and do that.
Now what should I do with you? I simply can't make up my mind.
Oh no, he's fierce.
Let him make a match. I could really use a heart. Say, can I have yours? Back to being an old rust bucket.
Let's see. Dorothy. I'm gonna kill her
At
again.
last, I can... It will all be over soon!
Just wanted you to hear all their voice lines and stuff. So there's the crone.
What a cruel, cruel world!
So the other two encounters for this are the Big Bad Wolf, which is if you use the Deadly Boss mods add-on for WoW, and you've heard the "Run away, little girl, run away" voice clip. That is where that comes from. The Big Bad Wolf had the gimmick of, turning a random player into Little Red Riding Hood, which made you very vulnerable to attack and gave you a speed buff. And if you would chase that player, then you would have to just kite him around the arena until it wore off. That was the gimmick with that. And then the other was Romulo and Julianne, which is, of course, Romeo and Juliet. And in that, you fought Julianne, who she could heal. That was her thing. And then Romulo, who casted spells to debuff, I think to debuff players? That sounds right. Or buffs his own damage. It's one or the other. And then you killed him, and then they would both resurrect. And you would have to kill them within 10 seconds of each other. And, or they would, the living one would resurrect the dead one at full health. So that sucks. So you would inevitably have people trying to focus down Romulo, and you'd have a bunch of rogues with Julianne off, kicking her repeatedly to interrupt her heals. And that wasn't the Big Bad Wolf, but the Big Bad Wolf drops the Little Bad Wolf mini pet. Which hey, I also have. Where are we at? Let's see. Little Bad Wolf, we'll summon you. We'll just make our way down the Karazhan pet list here as we go. So, as you saw with some of the dialogue and stuff from that opera event, there's a real sense of odd fun and whimsy about this place. And we make our way up the tower, up and up and up and up and up. Oh. All these guys very intently watching the play that I just ruined. Sorry, guys. this a door? Oh, I did. Whoops. Sorry. Alright, and now we make our way out here to sort of one of the outer rises of Karazhan. Man, this is about the time that I really miss my aspect of the cheetah! Blizzard, why did you change that spell? I want to walk faster. So here is the shortcut door, the side door that I showed you outside, and now that that's opened, you know, if for some reason I were to wipe, I would be able to come back in the side door and just get in there. So, that's nice. And now, here, I'm going to, before I climb up there, I'm going to take another short detour and show you an optional boss. And this is going to be Nightbane, which, that little urn right there, the blackened urn, that used to be an item that you carried with you that you earned from a very long quest chain that sent you into a lot of heroic dungeons. And then you would be able to bring the urn up here and summon Nightbane, the optional boss. And now you still have to complete the quest chain in order to enable that urn, but it's just right there. So you just click it, those doors close, and Nightbane will arrive. And this guy, he's a dragon boss, undead dragon. The basics of the fight are, you know, don't stand in the fire, you know, and kill the ads that he spawns. He will, you know, he does dragon-y stuff. He has a fear. He casts a big AoE dot on the ground. He has an AoE cleave for melee. He does a bunch of fire stuff. And then, throughout the fight, he will fly into the air, and then he will just rain down a bunch of skeletons on you. And unfortunately, you can't just kill him. You have to let him go through all of his skeleton phases. So, he spawns all these skeletons. I think he does it 2 or 3 times. So, skeletons and more skeletons. One more, alright. This wasn't really a very difficult boss, in my experience. As long as you stood where you were supposed to, and didn't get in the fire, he wasn't too bad. Sweet. So now, here, I'll use aspect of the cheetah. Oh, I'm so good. Blizzard changed aspect of the cheetah this way. It's really useful now. Really, really great change. Quality of life improvement. Now we climb up the tower of the this outer area, which you could kind of see a little bit from the outside of the tower. Go up here, up and up and up, up and up and up toward the menagerie. Where we're headed. We're at the next boss, another very infamous gear check boss called the Curator. And here, this area, it's got a bunch of like arcane mech enemies. Here. Clear this area out so you can can get a better view of the boss, because he actually has a rather ginormous aggro radius. So this boss was very kind of uncomplicated. Every 10 seconds he spawned an astral flare, which would just make a beeline for a random player and then cause chain damage to
The menagerie is for guests only.
everybody, to the people in the radius. And you would have to kill these astral flares very quickly, because if you had more than a couple up at a time, the group was going to wipe. It was a very damage-intensive fight.
This curator is equipped for gallery
And
protection.
every minute and a half, you would start an evocation phase, which would
Gallery rules will be strictly
replenish all of his
enforced.
mana and stop dealing damage to you and become immobile, and he would take 200% damage. So the objective was kill all the astral flares, wait for him to do an evocation, and then just DPS the hell out of him.
Curator is no longer operational.
So he was pretty easy. Oh, and he had like a 9 minute enrage timer. That sounds right. 10 minutes actually. Sorry. So he's just hits real hard, real like, bad gear check boss. Everybody had problems with him in the beginning. And he drops the tier 4 glove token. And also the little curator mini pet. For the little curator. Oh no, it's called Menagerie Custodian is what it's called. It actually has voice lines that it says. That's neat. So after you beat Curator, who again was, you couldn't skip him. Had to beat that guy. You go to the Guardian's Library, which has got all these wandering arcane golems. Probably saw one of those guys, possibly Curator, in the Warcraft movie, if you saw that. I'd like to think that was Curator that they fought at the end of the movie. And all throughout this area, there's like books on the ground and stuff. And there are books that you can pick up, certain books there, that they give you raid buffs while you're in Karazhan. They'll give you like extra spell damage and things like that, like extra arcane resistance and whatnot. You can't really, they disappear when you leave the raid, so you can't really keep them, but yeah. There's some books on the ground that do good stuff for you. We go up, all the way up here, through these rooms, filled with these spell shades and other arcane mobs. And up to another optional boss here. Now down here, as we make our way through this crisscrossy tower, there's this one room that has a bunch of imp monsters. Get rid of all these guys, and in this room, there's a hidden, disconcerting bookshelf. There's a hidden passage. And that leads down into the repository, where you get to fight Terestian Illhoof, which is a satyr boss. And his, he also has a minion named Killrek who spawns with him. And their deal is that so Killrek will run around, he'll debuff players, increase the damage that they take and whatnot. And when you kill him, he will transfer that damage debuff to Illhoof, and who will take more damage from you. But Killrek will respawn every 45 seconds or so. So you have to keep killing him and then focusing on the boss. And Illhoof also will summon portals that spill a bunch of those imps out throughout the fight. So you have to deal with those. And he will also cast a spell called Sacrifice on a random player every... I don't know what the cooldown is, but when he casts it, it chains the player in the middle of the room in that in this area here, and the player will take shadow damage every second, and Illhoof will be healed until the raid targets and breaks the chains, the sacrifice chains, which are a targetable thing. So you're fighting him, you sacrifice someone, you have to really quickly free the sacrifice victim, and then keep attacking him.
You're just in time. The rituals are about to begin. My hand is yours, oh great one.
And he drops... Well, he drops the Soul Frost illusion. Do I not have that? That's weird. Oh, I do have that. That's another transmog illusion. And he also drops the Fiendish Imp mini-pet. Let's pull that out. Oops. Where's that? Where's my illusion? He drops that guy. So now we make our way back up. That's a boss that's real easy to miss if you don't know he's there. Although I guess with the map it's not completely obvious, but it's easier to spot. It's just that one room that has those imps. There's that bookshelf. The mysterious bookshelf. And then up here is another optional but very important boss, because he opens a shortcut that you can take down from the foyer up to this room. And this is the Shade of Aran. This is the ghost of Neelis Aran, Medivh's father. And he is a infamous boss. He is probably responsible for more raid wipes than... Well, I'm hesitant to say any other boss in the Burning Crusade, but as far as the number of players who have fought him percentage-wise, certainly so. He was difficult at the time. And I'm just going to go ahead and engage him and kind of show you, to explain what he does as you can see him do it. He's does
Please, no more! My son! He's gone mad!
So he casts all these spells at you. He has kind of spells from
Run away, little girl! Run away!
every
I have powers of my own!
Mage tree. Like this arcane explosion, that's one of his big special moves. He sucks everybody in, as you saw, and then you have to run toward the wall before he does that explosive blast, or else it'll kill you. He casts arcane missile, he casts crossbows, he casts fireballs. Then
back to the cold dark with you!
He casts this blizzard, which he rooted me with Change of Ice. That sucks. I would probably be dead if the raid were current right now. But he summons this blizzard that goes clockwise around the room and just snares you and slowly kills you. That sucks. I believe he also silences anybody in melee range, so you had to kind of stay away from it. And his next ability,
burn, you hellish fiend!
is Flame Wreath. And when when you cross the barrier of this reef, well, it's sort of, there we go. It did that. And, oh god, am I going to cut myself here? I need to stop that. Oh geez. Am I going to wipe the flame?
Run away, little girl! I am Aran!
Now let me go ahead and go so I can explain Flame Wreath more. So Flame Wreath is a spell that everybody who's ever played this raid really hates. And the chant went like this at the time. I will not move when Flame Wreath is cast or the raid blows up. There is a YouTube video I will link to in the description that raid leaders would force their members to watch before this raid. And what that did, he would cast that, like you saw that ring of fire on 3 random players. And if you crossed it or really otherwise moved while it was on you, it would blow you up. It would throw you into the air like that, and it would chain onto other players. And if it hit another person with Flame Wreath, that would chain, and inevitably it would kill the entire raid. To which the solution was, if Flame Wreath is cast on you, take your hands off the keyboard and mouse, and do not take any action until it is over. And it's surprising how many players could not follow that simple instruction. But that was the bane of many players at the time. And he also does some other things, like at 40% health, he summons 4 water elementals, elite water elementals that you have to kill. And at 20% mana, he polymorphs the whole raid into sheep, which causes their health to regen, and then he sits down and drinks to replenish his mana, and then pyroblasts everybody. And if the trick was, you didn't want him to do those 2 things at the same time, because if a bunch of water elementals were up and he polymorphs everybody, you're dead. It's going to wipe the raid. So you had to sort of like manage his health and mana bars a little bit and know when to back off. And also, I will say, this boss has, by far, still to this day, the most impressive, epic Berserk mechanic Blizzard had ever designed for the game. Which, after about, I want to say 11 minutes, he casts a spell called Shadows of Aran, which causes a clone of him to spawn in every alcove here, around the room, and they will all start chain casting his spells. And it wipes the raid pretty much instantly in the most amazing fashion. If you've never seen it, I'll try to find a YouTube video to link you to in the description. It's insane. Oh, and he drops the... What does he drop? He drops the Sunfire Transmog illusion. So, another illusion for you. And then after you kill him, and like I said, there's a shortcut that leads you to that room that you can take from the doorman and get right back here. And then you move even further up the tower here. Just all these more books and more any books I can pick up. No, not in here. Doesn't look like it. But oops. Keep going up the tower here. And this raid, this really feels like you can really get a sense of the scale when you look down. Like, wow, that's what you've traversed to get here. This is a huge raid. One of the biggest raids, just in terms of the amount of space it takes up. I think, other than probably Blackrock Depths, that might be the only bigger one. Karazhan is just massive. It's just just this epic feeling of just climbing this insane tower. And so now we go here. We go up here to another optional boss. And one that a lot of players, once they were acquainted with the raid, kind of chose to skip a lot of the time. Here in the observatory, and that is Netherspite, who is a nether dragon who was conducting crazy experiments in here. And his mechanic was interesting. Let me just shoot him and show you. So he spawned these 3 portals, right? And let me see. So you have the blue one, the green one, the red one, all right? And these portals, when you stood in them, well, when you didn't stand in them, they gave him a bunch of buffs that made him unkillable and killed everyone real fast. And and he had a don't stand in this stuff mechanic too, as you can see. And the portals, there's the red one, which is the tank portal. And when you stood in that, it reduces the damage you take, and it also forces him to aggro you and increases your defense. The green portal is the healing portal. When you stood in that, it would increase the healing that you did, but also sort of reduce your maximum mana the longer you stood in it. And then the blue was the DPS portal. Oh no, he's banished. Banished just means he doesn't really do a whole lot to you, and you can just focus on DPSing. Although he does have I think it was a cone buff weapon. But back to those portals, the blue portal was the DPS portal, and it would increase your damage output, the amount of healing, the amount that was healed on you if you were a healing target, and the amount of damage taken. So in practice, what would happen is you would have people stand in each of these 3 portals, and they would sort of switch off. You know, a DPS would start taking too much damage. He would swap another DPS in, and you would use these portals to gain these buffs and, you know, have a lead for the boss. So positioning was really important, because if you kind of moved him into the beams, or you stood in front of, like, if the tank was standing here and you went behind him and took the red beam, it would screw up the positioning and, you know, potentially be catastrophic. But it was this crazy portal dance. He drops, Netherwing eggs, which, if you are still doing the Netherwing rep grind in Shadowmoon Valley, you can get some free Netherwing eggs every week. He drops between 1 and 3, so that's mildly helpful. And, oh, look, some Nether portal debuffs here. And now we go down here, and I actually could have jumped down from above to get down here, but just go the easy way. So we go down here toward the next encounter. I don't really want to call it a boss. It's a different weird kind of encounter. And that is the Gamesman's Hall. And you have this this vendor where you can repair and stuff. Actually, I will. Okay, repair my stuff. Thanks. Cool. And the Gamesman's Hall is otherwise known as the chess event. Okay. Everybody hates this encounter because no one understands it. Okay. Now, what you do here is you play a game of chess against the Echo of Medivh. Okay. To pass beyond my hall, you must defeat me in a game of skill. Control your king when you are ready to begin. And so, the Horde controls this side, it's War Chief Blackhand, and the Alliance controls this side, which is King Lane, and which you recognize those from the Warcraft movie if you saw that. And each side, and you can see you have pawns, king, the queen, bishops, knights, and rooks, and it's the same on each side, right? And this does not quite follow the real rules of chess. Each unit has a bunch of moves it can do, and whatnot. And it used to be, when it was current, sort of a somewhat coordinated game where every player would take control of a piece and you would work together to kill the enemy king, which is the goal, right? Whoever loses their king first, the other side wins. So I'm going to show you the strategy to solo this, okay? And it's not a strategy that I made up. It's a well-known, often cited solo strategy for the game, okay? And I'm not going to explain what each piece does in depth because that would take too long, and I don't even know if I can remember it accurately. So here's what you want to do, okay? Talk to your king to get the game started. And also, you should just focus target your king so you can keep an eye on your health. I find that helpful. So, you control War Chief Blackhand, or King Lane if you're Alliance. You hit 4, which is his Bloodlust, and then you exit piece. You have this debuff where you can't get into another piece until a few seconds have passed. You want to go to the second from the farthest pawn on each side of the board.
Blood and thunder.
Move them forward. Exit. You want to do that on each side, and then you want to move the rook into the space that the pawn occupied, that the pawn started in. Okay? Okay. And then exit, and then I will do that with the other side of the board. And as you can see, there's a weird bug, I think, since the Legion pre-patch, I've noticed, where
For the Horde.
pieces will randomly face different directions like that. I don't know why they do that, but I don't worry about it with the pawns, certainly. So...
Interesting.
Move them up here. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know why he has to face a weird way. But I'd like to make sure these guys are facing the correct way. And so now those are done. Okay. And now you want to do
And honor double.
move the pawns in front of the king and queen up
No matter.
one space.
Certainly.
Some.
Why?
Sounds fine.
Time for an alternative scenario.
So about this time, he will set the floor on fire. I mean, he cheats periodically. One of the things he likes to do is set the floor on fire, leave the king and other units. So once that's done, you want to control your king and move him out of the fire. And then, if you face him the wrong way, you want to face him the right way.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So once you do that, the king's moved up one space. At this point in the game, you want to control... You want to control the queen, which is the Orc Warlock in this case, and I believe the king is Conjure for the Alliance.
Necessary sacrifice.
Just want to nuke the hell out of their king with the Fireball spell and the Poison Cloud, which is a dot. And you want to do that until
Of course.
the king is dead. And usually, I would say probably about 75% of the time, if you follow this strategy, you're not going to have a problem. Sometimes the numbers are kind of against you, and you wind up not winning. One of the other things Medivh does when he cheats is he will like heal his king to full health, which, if it's close, that can kind of screw you. See if he does that. Looking good for me right now, but who knows?
Time for an alternative scenario.
Oh no. Okay, he used his growth spell, which causes some units to get larger, gain more damage.
The wheels have begun to turn.
So, yeah, everybody hates this encounter.
Necessary sacrifice.
It's kind of dumb. There's not really much to say beyond that.
I should have known.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't really have these. So I don't think he's gonna win, guys. I think I'm gonna beat him the first try. So I don't have to subject you to repeated chess matches. Hopefully. No, a lot of range. So yeah, to recap, move the 2 pawns on each side, second one from the edge, move forward 1 space, move the 2 rooks into the spaces that the pawns previously occupied.
Perfection will do.
Move the pawns in front of the king and queen up 1 space, move the king up 1 space, get him out of the fire after Medivh cheats, and then, if need be, move the queen forward 1 space and just use her to nuke down the enemy. And also, whenever you're in the king, pop bloodlust as well, that helps. So there, that is the chess match. Open our box of goodies. Sweet. And that opens the way to the final boss, Prince Malchezaar. So here we've gone up and up and up and up, and we should be going over there, but I'm gonna go this way and kind of show you what's in here. Medivh's private chambers. Here's Medivh's chambers. This is like his lab, I guess. And his bedroom. I don't know why you have a lab right outside his bedroom. It's kind of weird. And there's all these weird, these flesh beasts running around. Go up here, and down there, that's where that leads back to the Gamesman's Hall. Go up here, up and up and up and up. And out here is sort of vaguely, out one of these spaces is sort of vaguely the area where the Griffin's Roost would have kind of linked up from the outside. That is weird. What is this strange apparatus? But that Griffin's Roost from the unused dead portal. Go up here. Over here, all the way up to the roof to Netherspace. This, as you can see, I mean, this is not really, I mean, you see Karazhan's other towers over there. It's kind of not really Azeroth. Where is this? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what exactly is going on here in this place, lore-wise, or what it is. The lore behind Karazhan is that it is built on the spot where Azeroth's ley lines intersect. Therefore, it is a place of great magical power. So, whatever's going on up here, maybe, you know, this tower's new master it's tied into that. I don't know. Nobody's really figured it out. Blizzard's never really made that clear. But that is Prince Malchezaar. He is an Eridar who claims to be a prince. Nobody knows where he came from or what his deal is. And he was pretty tough at the time. What he does is, during the fight, he rains down these Netherspite infernals from the sky. They'll come down like meteors and drop and just stand there and start pulsing out like AoE damage. And they're untargetable, and you can't kill them. It's just, they make an area kind of just dangerous. They're kind of like the infernals in the Manaroth boss fight in Hellfire Citadel. If you've done that in Warlord of Draenor, except you can't kill them. And he will also, as the fight goes on, he will cast a spell called Enfeeble on random characters, which reduces them to like 1 health for a few seconds. And then he will use a spell called Shadow Nova, which will kill them. And you can outrange Shadow Nova, so if you get enfeebled, you just have to run away from him so that you don't get killed. And it's especially dangerous for people in melee range. And there used to be a safe spot over here. People would aggro him kind of out here, right? That's where the tank would aggro him. And there used to be a safe spot right here under the door where infernals would never land. And if you got enfeebled, you could just run back here, right? And just not and be safe, you know, not be in danger. And I think they patched that out at some point, so you were not safe from infernals anywhere. They could land anywhere. So every group I ever ran with at the time, we all kind of huddled here, safe from the infernals. Now, Malchezaar, let's go find him. I'll show you.
Time is the I shall be your. I am a prince of the Eridar. I am.
He shouldn't talk over himself like that, jeez. So he is the last boss of Karazhan. And he drops the tier 4 Helm token. He drops, what else does he drop? He drops Gorehowl, which is Grom Hellscream's axe, which is something that at the time a lot of players are very excited to get their hands on. And, you know, that's one of those things that everyone has wondered, why does he have Grom Hellscream's axe? That's very strange. And he also drops, oh yeah, our last mini pet, which is the Netherspace Abyssal, which is a little adorable infernal. So yeah, so that's that. That is Karazhan. Now there are all kinds of rumors and things about, I guess, Karazhan's sort of future in World of Warcraft. There have been rumors, and this is backed up in lore in novels, about a lower Karazhan, which is a mirror image of Karazhan extending underground below it, like a reflection. A lot of people have likened this to the reverse castle from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and you know, it's been speculated that it will be a future raid or instance that we will get to experience. And Blizzard themselves have also, at BlizzCon 2015, they straight up asked an audience at one of their panels, hey, what would you guys think of a 5-man Karazhan raid in patch 7.1? Which everybody went wild when they said that. And they haven't really commented since, but clearly they're thinking about it. And I should mention that Forgotten Crypt that I showed you earlier at the beginning of the video, up until the most recent patch, the Legion pre-patch, it was just called Crypt. And the gate placement was a little different. So they took the time to change it to Forgotten Crypt. And they changed where the gates were. So they're doing something to that area. So it's you know, like I said, this is my all-time favorite WoW raid, and it's really exciting, the idea that they might be doing something cool with it, you know. And, you know, even if they made this raid into what I imagine would have to be multiple 5-man dungeons because it's too long for just one. Even if they did that, like, I would miss the old, you know, the original 10-man one. But at the same time, the original 10-man one isn't doing anything for anyone. It's, you know, it's not current content. It's sort of a relic. So the idea that Karazhan might be something again for current content really excites me. And, you know, like, you know, Hearthstone's got the One Night in Karazhan expansion coming out, and there are several Legion artifact quests that take us here, and there's going to be a pre-patch event, which Karazhan, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't been following the beta, but Karazhan is involved. Karazhan is important to that event. So, you know, I just love this place, and I hope this was entertaining. I hope you got something out of this. Oh look there, that's what the Infernals do that Malchezaar summons. They deal damage to you and it sucks. So yeah, that is it. That's me. That is my Tauren, my Ograt. And so that's it. Thanks for watching. I like, comment, subscribe, and maybe I'll do another video like this for maybe another instance at some point. Maybe Ulduar, maybe Ice Crown, who knows. But I hope you've enjoyed my little tour of Karazhan. Thanks for watching, everybody.